Good morning, everyone. So it's the 30th, not the 30th. What am I talking about? I think it's the 20th. Let me look. Yeah, it is November 20th. The day that we call Thursday, the month that we call November, the date that we call the 20th, and the year that we call 2025. So I hope everybody's having a good morning. It is 6 a.m. here, Eastern Standard Time. I gotta make this fairly quick, so I'll try not to run my mouth too much. Because I have early morning appointments, and I've still gotta do Lukey Duke's breakfast and get the barn chores done before I hop in the shower, so. Things that need doing. All right. So yesterday, my video, when I said I've gotta go do my pellet stove, I accidentally hit the off button instead of the pause button. Sorry about that. I was going to pull you guys one more card just to see what they wanted to leave us with. But, you know, I guess there's probably no mistakes. No need to pull another card. But that's why that video got kind of just, I said I'd be back and then boom, it just ended. That's because I accidentally hit end rather than pause. So I hope you're all having a really good morning. It's going to be a beautiful day, I think. And I hope you've had a great week and things are going well for all of you. My heart is with all of you that are grieving yourselves. Life, it's a beautiful and ugly ride simultaneously, right? That's just how it is. It's a world of contrast. So don't follow any links in the comment section of the channel if anybody's on there sharing links or emails, soliciting you for anything. Don't do it. It's scammers. Sometimes they pretend to be the person that has the channel up. Sometimes they pretend to be other people. Just don't take a chance and follow anything. Scammers. All right, so say good morning to Luke. He just made himself comfortable on the couch. Can you guys see him? There he is. He's all comfy on the couch. He's quite a boy. Quite a boy. It was really cold here last night. We just came in from outside. And he likes to dilly-dally around and sniff all of the animal smells that have walked through our yard in the night. And I made the mistake of going out in my stocking feet and my pajamas with no coat, no shoes, while he took his sweet time about things, which made me even more grateful to come in and have a wood stove running. It was really clear, though. I have a skylight over my bed. And when I woke up this morning, I looked and the sky was just amazingly beautiful. Just so clear, and all of the stars and all of the satellites looking like stars were shining bright. It was really pretty. The healing intentions are always set for you folks. Always, always, always. So if you so choose, stand in your power. Decree that for your highest and greatest good only and always. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Allow that energy to integrate the body. I think I've covered all of my bases as I've sat here and shuffled to clear the cards and get them ready for the reading. First thing we're going to do is see if the universe does want to say anything to us in particular with one card. Just what do they kind of want to start today with before I go and ask some questions. So let's just get today's message right now, please, and thank you. Is there anything that we could benefit from hearing or knowing or gaining insight from today? Anything that you feel we should be reminded of or whatever? Please and thank you. Let's cut them. Probably, I don't know, probably move you back and bring you down. And that might help. Ace of Cups. Stay in the love vibration. It's dark here still. It's about 6 right now. So yeah, it's the Ace of Cups. I know you can't see that very well, but it is. So the Ace of Cups tells us that's divine love. Stay in that love vibration. The Ace of Cups says clear the emotions, join with spirit, listen to your intuition, open up your gifts and learn how to fly, basically, right? So keep staying on track and pulling in love and, heal yourselves and open up your gifts and just continue to become. But they're saying we're starting something new, and we've gotten that a couple of times this week. So that's a good card to start with. New beginnings, the love vibration, divine love, intuition, healing emotions, opening our gifts and learning how to fly in this world, right? So that's where we start, you guys. Now, someone had asked a question way back. I've still got to respond to a few things on the videos. My life has been a little bit hectic. I'm doing my best, you guys. I'm doing my best. So I think someone wanted to know, you know what, I probably better go back in and read those questions just so that I'm asking the right stuff. Because I know someone asked about the archons. And I just want to make sure I've got the right question. All right, so we won't look at that today then. What we will look at today is give us a message about the world stage. Now, I know that my husband was listening. My husband, my boyfriend. He might as well be my husband. I mean, coffee. More coffee. Hold on. He's my boyfriend. Not my husband, but whatever, right? Anyway, he was listening to a podcast, and the person who was doing the podcast was saying that what they were discovering was a lot of people going back to the mainstream media, and they're taking that in, and it's shifting their perspective. People that had woken up and were seeing things with different eyes have almost like closed their eyes. So that's interesting on that channel anyway. And they're looking at mainstream media as if it's telling the truth, which is so funny because, like, in my life, I've never believed that mainstream media tells the truth. But that's because as a very young child, I was 9, when I learned from experience, firsthand experience, that the media will embellish and flat out lie to sensationalize and create a story that everybody listens to, because for them it's about getting people's endorphins going and triggering emotions and manipulation so that they get a lot of views. And so I've known for a long time that the mainstream lies. So long before Trump ever came down the escalator and started telling people that, the news lies, I knew the news lies. I also knew it was bad for you, the vibration of it. Being an empathic person, I knew at a very young age that the news was bad for me. It brought me down. It made me feel awful. It caused great discomfort physically in my body and in my heart and in my mind. I knew it was not good way back as a very young person. But that's me. A lot of people swear by it. I'll never forget, it was before COVID. It was probably 2018 or something. My dad's best friend came to visit. He's so cute. And he's lost so many people because he's pretty old. He's lived a long time. And so he's lost a lot. And my dad was his best friend. They were, he still tears up talking about my dad. And he was here and he was giving me hell. Lorri, you need to watch the news. You need to know what's going on. And I was like, oh, I know what's going on. I pay attention. Don't think that I don't pay attention. I just don't pay attention via the news. The news is not good for me. But a lot of people were trained that was the thing, and they've sworn by it, and they can't get away from it. So let's take a look at the mainstream media. Because I know that a lot of people are disgusted with the stuff that's going on with the mainstream. Because there's still the BS on there, right? There's still the BS. And we have been told a lot of times that it's being controlled. It's almost like a reverse psyop. Like, you can't all of a sudden start telling people the truth on all levels when they've been programmed to believe the lies on all levels. So it has to be done sort of like slow and over time, so that people's minds can learn to adapt and accept it. Because if they just gave it to everyone all at once, they would never take it as truth. It would make their minds explode. They'd just explode. So let's just take a look right now as the energy stands here in the month of November, as the universe, our creator, our guides, and our highest selves see it. Give us one card to explain to us, to the best of my ability of interpreting it through these cards, what the universe sees the mainstream media's character as in this moment. Please and thank you. I know there are podcasters out there that they do nothing but search the mainstream so that they can then bring you the news, and then they research other things so that they can bring you like the truth. I would lose my mind if I had to do that. So glad that's not what I'm doing on this path, and not my purpose in this life, because I don't like the news, and I never have. So let's see what the universe says about mainstream media's news, what they call the news, as far as the character of it, where it stands right in this moment. Please and thank you. All right, so we got a higher arcana. So this is big picture, you guys. It's big picture. It's the Hierophant. It's a 5. It's going through great change. And that 5 always says chaos, right? So there's chaos happening in the mainstream media. It's going through some major change. It is big picture business that we're talking about. It's not small potatoes. And it looks like a lot of people within the mainstream media are kind of praying. Like, in this card, in this deck, this is my Deviant Moon deck, and you guys all know that I read intuitively, not traditionally. So each deck kind of has a different energy to me, and I see something different in each card via each deck, because the artwork is different, and I pick up a different vibe, right? So in this particular deck, the Hierophant is sitting there. He's all in red, and he's praying. He's actually praying. He's praying. He's desperate, and he's desperately praying. Now, depending on what you're asking would be motivating what he's praying about, what he's desperately praying about, what he's passionate about, what he's driven by. and what the change is that's happening, right? So great change is happening in mainstream media. It is. That's what the universe says. Big picture. It's happening via a form of chaos, because that's what fives do. They shake things up and they create a bit of chaos, and through that chaos, through that friction, you get the change. Well, apparently the people behind the mainstream media are sort of praying. They're feeling a little pushed. They're praying. It's a time where they're feeling the heat with the red. They're needing to be courageous. It's a very interesting time. Now, don't forget there's this little kid in his pocket. Now, if this, depending on the question, it would be about, praying for humanity, wanting to save humanity, wanting to save, kids. Like, how can we protect and save humanity? So that's another piece of this. It's like, the mainstream media right now is in a place where it's chaotic and it's frictional, but it's going through change, and it's really all about kind of saving humanity. Even though it seems like it's destroying it, right? The saving of humanity will come through this friction that we're seeing within the mainstream. So that kind of goes back to, it's so ridiculous that people are questioning. All right, so a lot of us feel like if they don't start shifting gears just a little bit more for some things that are very important, because generally you've got the mainstream media that everybody's regurgitating the same thing on every channel, and pretty much the same thing, right? And some channels, like the conservative, they're a conservative kind of, the conservatives think this is their news, might tell you a little bit more than other channels. So I just want to see, is there going to be a time when there isn't like, because you know that people that are far, far to the left aren't going to tune into Fox News. They're just not. They're just not. They're going to be offended by that. It's going to trigger their confirmation bias. And so they're not going to want to listen to that. And I'm not crapping on anybody for that. Hey, I know conservatives that will not tune into the further left because it's the same thing, you guys. It triggers their confirmation bias. We can either start taming our ego and not allow ourselves to be triggered by hearing things that we don't like, and maybe holding these things and dissecting these things, which will make us far more discerning and less apt to lose our minds when we do see something that really doesn't align with our own ideologies. Or we can keep seeking out things that only confirm our own bias, that's just not the best. It's not the best route for us to take as far as growth, honestly. It doesn't bother me to see things that I don't agree with. It honestly doesn't bother me too much to see people that are spewing a bunch of bullshit. It doesn't impact me directly. I don't let it bother me. I figure there's something in it for me, and I try to figure out what it is that's in it for me to hear in that. It's a process, but we do need to start triggering people's confirmation bias via these left, far left sided news stations. if we want to remain a free country here in America, we really need to start doing that. You have so many people that, are on the Marxism bandwagon, socialism bandwagon, communism bandwagon. So how are we going to teach them the truth about that if we don't start teaching them the truth about that via every avenue? So let's take a look at, with a 7-card spread. Let me just, I don't know where to put that. Let me lay out the cards and then I'll kind of angle the camera. With a 7-card spread, can you show me, well, no, wait. Let's just do a pathway to mainstream media and show me the pathway right now that will start showing people on both sides of things actual truth rather than confirming their own bias. So, believe me when I say, I'm sure that the supposed right-wing media stations are full of bullshit too. You know what I mean? They're just confirming a particular bias. And the left side's just confirming a particular bias. So, can you tell me, well, first, I guess I'll ask, can you tell me, will this agenda that the mainstream news has been on as far as just feeding to a particular person's ideologies and biases, can you show me a pathway to that stopping, to it becoming actual news, if it's going to? Because it may just die, you guys. We don't know. But is the news going to, with one card, just answer, will the news eventually, really honestly, start telling the truth? All channels across the board, conservative, left, all of them will what we consider the news today actually morph into a truthful way of obtaining information? Please and thank you. With one card there. Is it ever going to do that? Is it ever going to morph into a truthful way of finding information? Because it has been a propaganda machine and a form of MK Ultra for a long time. So with one card, is it going to change? We have the 4. So the 4 is saying it's gonna become very simplistic. The news that we know today will become very simplistic. It will become a little more balanced, but it's not saying it's really gonna necessarily give truth. So with that, let's let them go ahead and give us a 7-card spread then, rather than a pathway. The news is going to become more simplistic, a little more balanced, but you're still seeing deals here. You're still seeing deals being made with this 4 of Rods. Might not be as shady with this balanced and simplistic way of being, but it's still like a deal-making machine. So let's take a look at a 7-card spread to give us a story around the future of what we consider news stations and the news, mainstream media. It's getting whacked down, you guys. It's not gonna... The journey of mainstream media is not gonna end well. It's not gonna come into fruition. There's never going to be a completion with this. This journey is getting whacked down. It's just not gonna have the life in it that maybe people like you and I would like to see happening in the mainstream media. People are going to have to start really seeking their knowledge and their truth from above, other places, a different perspective. So this isn't a journey. It's going to simplify before it ends, before it's whacked down. It's going to become very simplified. But there's still these deals that will be made, which is why this journey will be hacked down. And it's because people aren't going to want to listen to it because they're recognizing it for what it is. And I think we're seeing that already, which is giving a little more story into the Hierophant as to why people might be praying it within the media, because they know that this is a system that's dying and they're not going to be making money via this avenue like they did in the past. So that's what I'm getting. Something new information's coming in a different way. So let me just lay them all out, and then I'm going to arrange them so that you folks can see them a little bit, even though it's pretty dark and you probably can't see them. We're gonna do our best to at least let you see what I'm pointing to, and all of that. So let's move these up just a little bit, and let me move these kind of to the side a little bit so you can see them a little bit, because that's a big piece of our story, right? Not part of the 7-card spread, but a big piece of the story. Let me get more coffee, and we'll look at mainstream media and the path that it's on. So the Knight of Wands in this deck, the Deviant Moon deck, is the biggest force of the energy that's driving the pathway of mainstream media. It's also driving the story around it. So this is the energy. And the energy in this deck, the Deviant Moon deck, the Knight of Wands, is a pretty nefarious card, right? So you have people in power riding the backs and kind of misusing this mean bug. This mean bug is using and enslaving this little bug. So that's a really good representation of the MK Ultra program and the propaganda machine that they've been using our mainstream media with for a long time to direct people and lead people like sheep. Okay, give you stuff, give you wrong information, flat out lie to you. Mold and meld your brain using particular vibrations, repetitive wording. That's why every station kind of repeats the same. They're reading that script. They're repeating the same thing. That's a form of magic, right? That enhances the energy and pushes it out there. Plus they use color and vibration, sound. And all of these things kind of come together to mind wash us. And we can sit back as people who consider ourselves kind of awakened. We're conspiracy theorists. We've gone down different rabbit holes. Our minds are open. We're seeking information. But the truth is, there's not a one of us on this planet that have not been MK Ultra'd. And that's why it's very, very important for us, like in yesterday's reading, where it shows you that this woman is standing in the window and she's got all of her ideologies and her thoughts and her beliefs lined up very, very rigidly. And now her crown's starting to open and she's receiving information from above, and it's a complete conflict of these ideologies and these things that she's adopted as absolute truth. And so she's getting ready to just fall right out that window on those swords, which are her ideologies and her thoughts and her beliefs that she holds very rigidly to be truth and sacred, right? And those ideologies and those thoughts that she has and those belief systems are going to damage her. When she falls out that window, those ideologies are going to shoot straight through her. They're in direct conflict with truth and love and that higher Christed consciousness vibration and what Spirit may be bringing into our hearts and our minds, and the truth that we may be receiving from a higher perspective. It's very damaging. This is when you see people's minds sort of break, or they go through a nervous breakdown. It's the dark night of the soul. It's when we're kind of rebuilt. We shake off those ideologies and we start to really learn not what we've been programmed to believe as gospel, but we start to learn ourselves, who we actually are, how we actually feel about things, how we're truly impacted by things. I'll give you an example. I had a client one day that was talking about, female, my age, talking about abortion and all the reasons why that's righteous and women have a right and all of these things. And so I didn't get angry with her. I just asked her some questions. And, you know, she'd been taught that this is absolutely okay. She absolutely did not believe in long-term, late-term abortion or anything like that. But she had really been conditioned to see that life as not a life, okay? And so I just started talking to her about, like, you know, the little mice when they're born, the little pinkies and things like that, and how delicate they are. And I asked her one day, I said, is the disconnect because you can't see the baby? My brother used to say, if God wanted us to know what we're having for a baby, he'd put a window in a woman's belly. I almost wish that there was a window in a woman's belly, because I think the disconnect has been, the brain has been conditioned to, they've been told over and over again, pile of cells, life doesn't start, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they've been conditioned, right? They've been MK Ultra'd. So they don't see a baby as life. For whatever the reason, they just don't. And I said, if I were to put a baby on the table, I said, if you look at, like, the ultrasounds and stuff, you see these are little babies, you know? And they just have to grow into something. You know, when you fertilize an egg and you're incubating it, you aren't thinking to yourself, I'm just going to smash all of these baby chicks. You're getting excited. You can't wait for them to hatch. And what is the difference between the person who is excited to have a baby, who can't wait for the baby to be born, or the person who honestly didn't take accountability, wasn't in control of their body? Because let's just be clear. The majority of abortions are repeat abortions. They're from people not who have been raped or molested. The majority of abortions are from people who are just careless, who just go out and have sex and get pregnant and then take care of the problem afterwards, rather than using the 1 million forms of birth control that there are. Or maybe, you know, closing their legs until they're ready for a family. I don't know. There's plenty of options out there, honestly. Let's just be honest here. So I started talking to her about it, and then I started explaining to her what actually takes place during an abortion. And, you know, people aren't educated about that. They're not educated about that on purpose. She started crying. She didn't know what takes place during an abortion. The light bulb went off in her head when I said, what if you could see it? You know, let's talk about what this looks like. The light bulb kind of went off. She started crying. It was a meltdown of those ideologies that she had been conditioned to believe. And so it was very emotional. She's never had an abortion, but all of a sudden she was crying and saying, I'm sorry. And, you know, almost like she was, it felt like she was releasing and telling the universe she was sorry for not seeing clearly. Changed her whole perspective just through And it was a gentle conversation. I wasn't, I was just doing a little teaching and a little asking. And apparently it was her heart and her soul and her mind were ready to all come together to hear. But she had been taught a particular thing. And that's what we've all been taught, this shit. Whether we've adopted it or rebelled it, doesn't matter. We've all been MK Ultra'd to some degree. There's no escaping it. And that's what this Knight of Wands is doing. It's enslaving this little bug, just like the news has enslaved our minds, right? Very bad, bad man. So, bad bug, misusing power. And so that's what the media has been, you guys. It's been a very, very bad bug, misusing its power to enslave the minds of the people that have been watching. That's driving the reading. Okay? That's why it's going to be chopped down. That's why it has to come down. Apparently, with these rods, there's a lot of not anything going on really good in this, right? A little tiny bit of leaf and growth in there. So in the news, you might get a tiny bit of truth and a whole bunch of garbage. And so it has to be chopped down, and it's going to be chopped down because people are actually looking at it in anger now and saying, I'm not listening to this. They're going higher. And so the news is going to start coming in from a higher place. How that's going to be done, I don't know. But across from that, it is saying something completely new will be built and will come. And something completely new is going to be built, okay? And it's going to be of a much higher frequency, something that we can look at with much more abundance. So that even the frequencies will change. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, this is ending and something new is beginning. They're cutting this down. It's going to come to pass. What we're going to see is that the news becomes more and more simplistic before it just ceased to exist and something new is birthed. And, you know, that's the chaos and the friction that's happening right now. Apparently, these people within that system, they see it coming and they're feeling desperate. But, you know, above this cutting down this journey, because there's very little truth in it, you know, this has been like major arcana, very, very poisonous. So people get all caught up in the news, and the news is actually, it's biting them, it's poisoning them. It's literally a poison to people that enslaves them with this Knight of Wands. It just enslaves them. It causes them to be focused on things that aren't real. They're not true. And they're not listening to their intuition. It brings their vibration down. It poisons them rather than lifting them higher into that vibration of love. It's literally a poisonous vibration. It poisons people. And that's why it has to start anew. Now, what they're telling us where we're at right now is that we might get down in the doldrums because we see this, some of us see this as like a dead journey and a journey that has to end. And it is ending with this 9. I think the problem is that we're too caught up in how dead that journey is, and we're not noticing what's blooming right beside us. So I would say that is like the podcast that I was just talking about, where they literally go through all of the mainstream media news, and then they actually research the truth, you know, like say what the mainstream might be saying about an executive order and what that means. And this podcaster will pull the clip of all the news stations saying all of this stuff about this executive order. And then that podcaster goes into the executive orders and pulls the executive order and pulls up what it really means And then, perhaps they go back to the Constitution and they give you the information around the Constitution and why it is that this executive order is necessary to get this country back to whatever. They do a lot of work there. And I think it's things like that we're seeing blooming, that has a lot of life in it with this 9, you guys. It's like those types of things have a lot of life, a lot of truth and passion in them. And that's what's blooming as this MK Ultra program used for many, many, many years to enslave people's minds. As that's dying, this is blooming. And I think we're too down in the dumps. Like, you and I aren't looking at the news. Well, I'm not anyways. You guys might be for the same reasons that the podcasters do. Or some of you might get caught up in that, not because you believe it, but because you're overly tired of it or something, right? So maybe some of you are viewing it and getting down in the doldrums about it. But they're telling us that cycle is ending. It's going to become more and more simplistic. Those deals are going to be more and more obvious. Balance is going to come in because you're going to see the deals made, right? People are going to see and are seeing with this card is present, and this is present day as well. They're seeing that there's very little truth in the news, and people are turning away from it. They're cutting it down because they see it's poison to them. It's poisonous. And so we got to lift our heads up and pay attention to all the new things blooming. There's a lot of podcasters out there working really hard to bring you the news, and then to bring you what parts of that have been manipulated, and then to bring a little truth, to show some facts in here, to point out the lies, and to point out everything. So there is a lot happening. At the very top, there's going to be much revealed around these news stations. So you guys know all of the things that you know about the news. You know that it's a propaganda machine. It was designed to be. It was an experiment on the people. It's a brainwashing system. The MK Ultra. You guys know how they do it with repetition, vibration, color, all of that. So you guys already have delved down the rabbit holes. You know who owns the news. You've done your research. You know that as everybody was preaching, go get your COVID shot, Pfizer owned these stations. They were getting kickbacks and paid for that. You guys know that. There's probably a lot we don't know, even more that's been that we haven't figured out yet. But big reveals are going to come out around the news. How poisoning it is. The fact that there's very, very little truth in it. The fact that it's been used as a propaganda machine to enslave the human mind, and to literally bring poison to people. So with that King of Cups, there's so much to reveal. And with the King of Cups can be empathic and wonderful, or he can be a real slime ball. And this energy driving this story is a slime ball, right? So that's what the King of Cups is. We're going to see all the slimy things designed behind the news. So, people are going to find out that Walter Cronkite, their beloved Walter Cronkite, was a CIA agent, They're going to find these things out, and there's a lot to be revealed, but it's a dying system. Something new is being birthed. We're already in the throes of that. It's much more abundant with truth and life and passion and just a better way of being. That's where we're at right now, but we're not picking our heads up and enjoying this so much because the dead stuff that people are individually chopping down. is still within view, right? And seems like more. You get those 8 sticks going right all around you, all of those news stations all around you, right? And then you have to go to a back channel to find people that are really working to try to bring you to the best of their ability, whatever they can find as truth, and still telling you, this is the research that we found, but still somebody else has said that. So that may not even be true, right? But their intentions are good, and that is blooming. So, and more and more people are cutting down watching the news because they see it's poisonous. So what are they going to do now? They're going to start turning to these other forms of news and information. And that would be this new, more abundant journey. Above that, we have the King of Pentacles. So the King of Pentacles is, he's pretty confident in the world. But he does need finance. He does need money. He does. So I would say what they're saying here is as something new blooms, we can't get our panties in a pissy situation because these people are working to actually create an income for themselves while they do it. That's diagonally connected to this, right? And I do know there's a lot of people bitching. You've got these back channels they're doing sometimes up to 3 shows a day, 6 shows a week. They've got all this research and time in it. They stay up late scouring the news and doing their research to bring you what they can that has some authenticity and some honor and some truth in it. And I know that people let's say they put up links where they've partnered with people that if they promote their product, they get a piece of that. They got to earn money or they can't do it. This whole you shouldn't be. I think there's a cue drop about it. Like if people are selling themselves, I don't know what it says exactly, but everybody has their panties in a pucker and in a twist because people that are working hard every day to bring you information are doing things to promote their channel, to partner with people that sponsor them so they can make some money. They're doing things to earn their income. Well, don't think for a minute that somebody can spend that much time working on behalf of humanity to bring you truth and facts and knowledge and just do it for free because they've got rent to pay and light bills to pay and insurance to pay and their internet to pay if you continue to want to watch them. And all of these things, they need to have money too. So please, in the midst of understanding this reading, do understand as something new blooms, these people are going to have to make money in order to continue to bring you the news. Or they're going to have to go back to work for the man. They can't be homeless. They can't go without food, clothes, water, provide for their children. They they deserve, what they're doing is work. And they do deserve money for that. So that's just how it is. And people got to get off their self-righteous high horse saying they're tired of watching the ads that come across because they've monetized their channel, or they're tired of having to listen to their commercials because they go ahead and they promote somebody that they've partnered with. And I just want to remind everybody, most of these patriots that are doing this are partnering with companies that they consider legit, that they consider patriot companies as well. But no, they have to earn money or they're not going to be able to keep doing this for us. So, we got to get off our high horses and understand that in order to have something new and more abundant, money is going to have to go into this journey for them in order for them to do it. I mean, nobody's expecting you to work for free, right? I don't work for free. Well, I do here. But our time is valuable. Like what I'm doing here, it's a lot of time. I get the healing going for you folks, you know. I got to get set up. Once I've put the time into the reading, once I'm done, I then have to take the time to upload it. I can't really use my phone while it's uploading. So there are things that I can't do while this upload happens. And, you know, then I go about the business of having to start my work day and other things that I have to do. People's time is valuable and their knowledge is valuable and the work that they put into it is valuable. And so all of this, all of this bitching about patriots making a living doing this needs to end, or they won't be able to do it. Let me get a sip of my coffee, because I think the truth of the matter is what the Q drops might have been referring to, in my humble opinion, this is how I interpret it, while taking my ego out of the situation. I interpret it as the Q drops is saying, for those people that say, I have information, I'm directly connected, I have connections, I know for a fact this, and this, but if you want to know, you have to go behind a paywall to access that information. I believe that is what the Q drops are referring to when they refer to pay, P-A-Y, triots. Not these people that are just doing what they can to try to bring in some income so that they can keep bringing you the news, the information. Okay? So, basically, the news is it's going to be reborn. The old system's dying. You're going to see it get more and more simplistic because more and more people are walking away from it. And a lot of information will be brought out around that MK Ultra program. Okay? So, big reveals to come. It's dying. And we're just watching the throes of that through the chaos and the friction and the BS. So now I'm wondering, have I done a good job relaying the messages here? Please and thank you. Please and thank you. How'd I do as far as this layout goes? Because I've got to get off. It's 5 minutes to 7. I got to get Luke's breakfast done and the morning chores done and my showering, so that I can be ready for my first client. So please and thank you. Did I do a good job relaying this message as far as the mainstream media and its lifespan and where that's going goes? Please and thank you. Number two. Get the Two of Rods. And I've harvested a lot of information for you. They do say there's more to tell. When it comes to the mainstream, there's more of a story there. So let me just ask if we can pick that story up tomorrow. Because I truly don't have time for it today. And okay, so let me ask this. So a lot of information has been harvested, but with this too, that means there's always something more that could be told. Before I ask this next question, I want to give you guys the secondary message to this. So I've harvested a lot of information in regards to my question. How have I done? But there's more to harvest when it comes to this topic. But the secondary piece of the information here would be that a lot of what you're seeing, the people, the programming, the way things were being done by this Knight of Wands, a lot of what you're seeing now today that's got you upset, that's creating this dead journey. There's been a harvesting also that has taken place within this system. And with this, there's always more to harvest. So perhaps they have busted people that did know exactly what they were doing and were part of the deliberate enslavement of the human mind. And perhaps there's more people that will also be harvested. There's a lot going on in this card. So there is an operation of harvesting that has already happened, and there's an operation of harvesting that is left to do. Okay? So that's quite a bit of info right there just with that message. So now that I've delivered these messages with the cards that we have down right now, is this a topic that you would like to continue talking on tomorrow? Or, you know, you can give me, depending on the card, you can show me whether there's some really important stuff that you'd still like to say, or if we've gotten enough information so that the universe feels as though this could be satisfactory for a while until you know, the true reveals of everything just start spelling out. So is this a topic that you want to continue? Please and thank you. And if so, we can do that tomorrow. One more shuffle because that one just was crappy. Here we go, that one's better. We'll cut them 3 times. The Chariot. So the Chariot, yes, they would like to continue talking on this topic because there is more to harvest here. So more for us to learn that they feel is important for us to hear. Now the secondary message with the Chariot is, you know, for us to armor up, protect ourselves from these poisonous vibrations, these depressing feelings, and, you know, kind of armor up and protect ourselves moving forward. Don't get too caught up in it. Be the Chariot. Be that person rolling forward in the universe with confidence and strength, spiritual armor on, continue to seek our own truth and our own knowledge while this system sort of like poots out, right? And yeah. So, but they do want to talk a little bit more around other information that we can harvest from this topic. So we'll do that tomorrow, you guys. So with all of that being said, I want to say thank you for all of the information and for talking to us in the way that you did. And I would also like to just ask, with the information that we've been given, as the energy stands around this topic, do you want to leave us with one card, one last word? I'm going to show you guys how cute Luke looks like right now. I don't know. Do all of you guys think that every little thing your pets do is absolutely adorable? I bet you do. I sure do. I mean, my goodness, doesn't he look cute? Isn't it funny how they can curl themselves up into such tiny little balls? But yes, isn't that cute? He's so precious. I love my boy. I love all animals. I love animals. I had this person once say to me, I've just loved animals since I was really, really little. I have a memory. I was probably only 2, but it was such a big deal for me that I've retained it. I lived in the house that used to be next door to where I live now. I was just a little girl. And my dad worked construction, you guys. And so he would work away, but he would come home to us on weekends. And we had a little farm, you know, we had our cow where my mom got her milk, and we had pigs that we raised, and we had chickens, and we had cats, and always a German Shepherd back in those days. That was usually very, very protective of us kids and my mother, because there was no man there for a lot of the time. My dad had to work away. So a lot of times on my father's commute back home, if he was around so that he could come home on weekends, or even if he wasn't going to be home for a few weeks or a month or whatever, when he would be coming back home, he would have arranged things so that he could pick something up. So this one particular night, I was in bed by the time he got home, but he came home with 100 baby chicks, right? So the 100 baby chicks were going to be, partly they were going to be layers. Obviously the roosters would be weeded out because they weren't sexed. And, you know, some would be for meat. But we would be raising these 100 baby chicks. So he woke me up. I just loved animals. So all animals, oh my gosh. And I still do. They just make me feel so good. They're definitely a happy place in my heart. So he wakes me up, and he brings me out, and I'm sitting on the kitchen floor, and, you know, they're bringing in all of these literally like cardboard boxes of chicks. And my mother's setting things up to keep them warm, because we're actually going to brood these things in her bedroom until they're big enough to go out in the barn, which a lot of people laugh about. But hey, I can't tell you how many chickens I have brooded in my house over the years too. Chickens and ducks and turkey poult and all of that. But anyways, she's going to set up her bedroom. They're going to be in the bedroom brooding, kept warm until they're big enough to go out. It's a lot of chicks. But you also know that with that many, some of them will inevitably not make it, right? The weaker ones, or, you know. But I'm sitting in the middle of the floor, and I'm just so excited. Oh my gosh, I'm patting all these chicks. Has anybody ever seen anything so cute? These little yellow fuzzballs. And I'm so excited. And he gives me one. And he said, this one, you're going to have to take care of. Like, I want you to take care of this chick. Now, did I actually have one chick given to me separated from all the rest? No, I was too little to know the difference. I was just told that chick was probably, you know, it was in this particular box, and I've got to take care of that chick. And, you know, so basically what happens is you're taking care of that particular box of chicks, right? But it was a wonderful experience for me, and I was so excited, and I couldn't believe that my dad thought I was big enough and gave me that responsibility, and I felt so excited. And, you know, what that led to was me being in that bedroom with my mother, helping her with all the chicks. Very excited because I couldn't stay away. I just wanted to pat them all the time. Cleaning them was, to me, fun. I mean, let me hold the chicks, love the chicks, kiss the chicks. It was just wonderful. And so I was with a couple of people who I'm no longer see anymore, but we were at one point friends. And one of them said animals got brought up or whatever, kind of because of my theory of like, find your happy place. Just like in Peter Pan, that one kid, his happy place was his marbles. And for me, in my own therapy and my own healing, before I do my manifesting, I find my happy place. And it's childhood joyful memories like that, you know, and sitting in the doghouse with my dog, and, you know, things like that. And it's really a happy place for me. And he said, Lorri thinks loving animals makes her a good person. Now, that's an asshole thing to say, because I loved animals before I had an understanding of what good and bad was. my love for animals is very natural. I don't think it makes me a good person. It's just, it's who I came in as. My love for animals, I never have thought about it, oh, it makes me a good person because I love animals. No, I just love animals. It brings me more joy and happiness than I can even describe. And they have healed me over the years. When my life has been so chaotic and so sad and so challenging, it's always been a connection with an animal that has made me feel better. Honestly, that just fills me up. That and my child. But before my child, I didn't have my kid. I had animals. And they've been such a big piece of my healing and my joy and my comfort over the years. They're just absolutely amazing, right? And I have gone on and babbled, and I forgot where I was going with that. But where the hell was I going with that? I don't know. But I remember thinking to myself, what an asshole, actually, like that's a very egoic comment coming from somebody who, honestly, from someone who should have known better. But, because no, my love for animals started long before I started having the ideologies put into my head about what makes somebody a good person, what makes somebody a bad person. And honestly, in my family, we've known a lot of people who have like gotten in a lot of trouble. And, my family, some of them, but also had really good qualities that were very kind. So I've never really looked at things as black and white anyway, just because of my upbringing. I see good and I see bad in all of us. And I see our ability to make choices, to make good choices or bad choices. And you've got to be really, really nasty, I think, for me to look at you and say, oh, you're just a bad person. And I do believe some people are probably born lacking some shit that makes them kind of just icky people. But I see good and bad in all of us, and I think it's our choices, right? But no, my love for animals doesn't make me a good person in any way, shape, or form. Animal cruelty is a bad thing, and child abuse is a bad thing, and killing people are bad things, and these are bad choices, and these people clearly have zero empathy or compassion or value for life. These things are bad choices. That's the bad shit in them. But my love for animals isn't what makes me a good person, right? Because we have that. We have both good and bad in us. All of us do. All of us do. And so, yeah, I kind of look at this whole good person thing a little differently than a lot of people do. Choices. Life's about choices. So anyway, I don't know where the hell I was going with that, but I got on a babble and totally forgot why I started it. But let's just see, with one card, as the energy stands, the information that we've been given. What do you want to leave us with, please and thank you? And then I'm going to hop off. All right. What do you want to leave us with, please and thank you? Ooh. Do you see this? So I love this. This is my pentacles. That's my earthly pleasures, right? That's the assets. That's That's the things that you love, the things that you hold of value. So it's not just money and vehicles and homes and jewelry and knickknacks and things like that. It's the actual earth plane. It's the earth plane's resources. It's nature. It's animals. It's your family. It's anything that you hold of value, as well as the earth plane, okay? So what are they leaving us with? They're leaving us with that Four of Pentacles. So in this card, this guy is like he's the king. He's got power. You know, he's hoarding all the money, and his wife's kind of going batshit crazy behind him because she has zero control. He is hoarding things, and he's actually looking around. I wish that you guys could see this better. He's actually looking around real paranoid. Like, all of this is mine, and I'm freaking out, and I'm not going to let anybody touch it, including my wife. She doesn't get any control or power there either. And that Four is like, this is something where there's some balance to be had there. So I don't know what's going on the world stage as far as narratives and what people are saying. But the message behind this, leaving us with this today, would be, don't be paranoid when it comes to your assets. I don't know what they're saying. I'm not paying attention. I'm just being real with you. I'm not paying attention. But apparently there's some stuff around assets, and people are starting to get very paranoid, and they're sort of hoarding. And this card says calm down. With the Four, it says work to create balance within your own finances, within your own home. Create balance with your earthly needs and things like your, repair whatever needs to be repaired. If you can, make sure that you're balancing out what you need, your food, the things that you need. Don't hoard, and don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Work to balance, and don't be paranoid. Don't be paranoid and out of sorts. It looks like, some families are feeling like time is running out, and I don't know what this is about. But don't be paranoid. Step into a balanced place of being. Do what you can to balance your finances, your home, your needs. Be balanced in the way that you show your love and your affection and everything to your family. Like, this is a whole balancing act of everything that matters here on the earth plane. And they're telling us not to be paranoid, not to hoard, but to do things with a sense of logic and balance, and not to feel desperate. This woman's desperate and he's paranoid. So don't feel desperate. Don't feel paranoid. Step into a place of logic and balance, and work to take care of your home and assets in a balanced, logical way, you guys. So I don't know what's going on, but that's a message that they're leaving us with. So I don't know what's being said right now, but there you have it, okay? All right, so I love you all dearly. I hope that you have an amazing day, a beautiful day. Fill yourselves with the love vibration. Know that we're in the midst of change, and don't allow yourselves to get paranoid or feel desperate. Stay in a place of logic and balance within yourselves and everything that is of value to you. Your home, all of these things. Stay balanced, okay? Don't hoard. Balance. Right, so in other words, don't say, oh my God, I don't think there's going to be any beef, and so I'm going to run out and I'm going to spend every last dime on beef while not putting oil in my tank or paying my light bill or they want you to be very balanced in how you're taking care of your needs and handling your assets. Don't be paranoid. Don't feel like time's running out. I don't know why they're telling us that, because I'm totally lost of what might be being said out there. Anyway, that's what I'm getting. So I love you all, and I will see you all soonish. Thanks for letting me babble. And I'll see you all soonish. Probably tomorrow, probably Not sure, never know what might happen. But I'll see you all soonish. Love you. Bye.